Welcome to the Scottish Rite Journal podcast, an audio presentation of the Scottish Rite Journal, brought to you by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. This week's article is The Abduction from the Seraglio, Revisiting Mozart's Other Masonic Opera by Brother Mark Dreisenstock, 32nd degree, KCCH, and comes from the May-June 2023 issue of the Scottish Rite Journal. The Scottish Rite Journal and its predecessor, the New Age magazine, have published several articles about Brother Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's The Magic Flute for at least a century. Often is noted how the world-famous opera presents in musical purport something of the ancient mysteries and depicts much craft symbology. Emil Poehler, 33rd degree, Mozart, Grandmaster of Harmony, New Age, January 1960, page 39. In January 1991, a unique article appeared in the Scottish Rite Journal entitled Mozart's Other Masonic Opera, in which Dr. Roger Firestone, 33rd degree, argued that another German-language opera by Mozart, The Abduction from the Seraglio, also should be appreciated in Masonic terms. Rather than dealing in Masonic symbolism, as much of the Magic Flute, illustrious Firestone wrote, this opera deals in the most vital parts of Masonry, how a Master Mason should behave. Here we will revisit this article of some 30 years ago, viewing it in the context of a recent production of Mozart's dramatic and comedic musical masterpiece, allowing us both to appreciate The Abduction from the Seraglio and illustrious Firestone's article with new eyes. Dr. Firestone provides a helpful synopsis of the opera's plot. The action of The Abduction takes place in Turkey, in the domain of the ruler Pasha Selim. Constanza, a Spanish noblewoman, Blonda, her English maid, and Pedrillo, a valet, are held prisoner there, having been either shipwrecked on the coast or captured by pirates. Selim wishes to make Constanza his wife, while his major domo, Osmin, has similar designs on Blonda. As the opera begins, Bellamante, Constanza's betrothed, has arrived to effect a rescue. Osmin, already distrustful of Pedrillo, has his suspicions raised further by Bellamante's appearance. Pedrillo nevertheless manages to insinuate Bellamante into Pasha's household by introducing him as an architect. What renders The Abduction from the Seraglio a powerful statement of 18th century Enlightenment values and, per illustrious Firestone, one imbued with Masonic ethics, is how the opera does not settle for the conventional route of its day in siding with Christian Europeans over a Turkish Muslim ruler. Similar to the path of the Mason, Bellamante has traveled from Spain in the west to Turkey in the east in search of something that has been lost, and presents himself as an architect, a profession that is, in Masonic terms, identical to that of Master Mason. Yet illustrious Firestone notes that the Masonic reader should, at this point, recognize also that Bellamante and Pedrillo have chosen the path of stealth and dishonesty and every form of trickery. By contrast to Bellamante and Pedrillo's unmasonic behavior, we may see in the Pasha the character of the worshipful master, charged with completing the candidate's education at a time when the candidate may think himself already fully capable and qualified. The worshipful master of a lodge is, after all, in many ways identified with a monarch, such as the Pasha, and the members of his lodge must hope that he will govern the lodge in the same virtuous characteristics as were shown by Pasha Selim in the final scene. In February 2023, performances of the opera were staged by Bel Cantanti, a Washington, D.C. area opera company. Dr. Katerina Sovarova, the company's founder, musical conductor, and keyboardist, is well aware of this Mozart opera's Enlightenment themes, a crucial component of Dr. Firestone's 1991 assertion that The Abduction is also open to a Masonic interpretation. Indeed, when asked about this aspect, Dr. Sovarova stated, "A favorite personage of the opera for me is Turkish ruler Pasha Selim. He is a person of the Enlightenment whose enlightened understanding of good and evil will be seen later in the Magic Flute's Zoroastro. Every phrase that Selim utters speaks about wisdom, honesty, sincerity of feelings, and honor, noting It is a far greater pleasure to repay injustices suffered by good deeds than to compensate evil by more evil. Dr. Sovarova also reminds us that Constanza shares the name of Mozart's wife, and that there is much to be learned about the strength of this female character as well. As a slave, bought by the Pasha Selim with her servants Blanda and Pedrillo, she is completely in the power of Pasha as his favorite in the harem. Nonetheless, she stands by her love and faithfulness to Belamonte and rejects all attempts of Pasha Selim to share his love. She tells Pasha about Belamonte and rejects his offer to accept his love, even as she is willing to die for hers. We are reminded in this opera of the Masonic injunction that it is the internal and not the external qualifications of a man which should merit our respect. In an abduction from the Seraglio context, we should not assume that the conventional hero, Belamonte, is meritorious, and the conventional villain, the Pasha, is evil. Indeed, it is notable and regrettable that Belamonte questions his beloved Costanza's virtue in a manner in which the Pasha never does, and that he is often intemperate in his behavior. Adding further complexity to the show is Osmin, a devious official in the Pasha's court. His presence shows us that the forces of corruption and intemperance may be found anywhere, sometimes even in the company of the truly enlightened. Whether the Abduction from the Seraglio is an opera presenting directly Masonic virtues or simply a musical statement of many of the ideals of the Enlightenment, it is a work replete with inspiring ideals that instruct us to strive beyond mistaking the world for its mere appearances. Bel Cantante's production also makes it clear that Mozart's opera, especially when performed with vibrant musical accompaniment, an outstanding cast, visual humor, opulent sets, and exquisite costumes, maintains its power to entertain and encourage an enlightened, thoughtful approach to conflicts in our world. Like and share this article, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you wish to comment, please leave one, and as a reminder, hit the notifications bell. Any accompanying photographs or citations for this article can be found in the corresponding print edition. The Scottish Rite Journal is published by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. Mark Dreisenstock, 32nd degree, KCCH, Managing Editor. I'm your host, Matt Bowers.